Running up the score. Jerry.
He just sucks.
He's not good.
let's just put it out on the table. He's not a good quarterback.
Kevin.
Bennett is unique. These guys are unique championship runs. I mean, this one's unique.
Let's hope some people still get thrown at and, get hit in baseball.
Keep it interesting.
Yeah, right?
I can't take this guy serious right now.
I dare you to watch it and tweet us. Tell us, oh, you know what? This is a hell of a sport.
Where's this been all my life?
The New York Jets you know what they need to do with their second round pick? They need to just start taking it and lighting it up on fire.
This is Running Up the Score. And it starts now.
All right, it's time to run up the score. Running up the score with Jerry Napoleonello, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Brought to you by Yelphi Sports App. We are live on Zeno Live and Periscope. I'm back here with Kevin Donlin, the man, the myth, the voice. Kevin Donlin.
Sup?
He makes his way back to Running Up the Score. The call-in number is, as always, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. We have a lot to get to today. Got a great show ahead of us. Thank you to our sponsor, Yelphi Sports App. You can download the app from the iTunes App Store by searching Yelphi. It's spelled Y-E-L-L-F-Y. Make sure to follow me at Jerry RUTS Sports, and I'll get Kevin to get one too, and it'll be at Kevin RUTS Sports, and we'll shoot you a follow back. It's a great app, but first remember to join in with our conversation through the next hour here by calling in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. You can also tweet us at RUTS Sports and follow us on Instagram at the same handle, RUTS Sports, and like our Facebook page as well. So, it's been a while.
I know. It's great to be back. Obviously, adult life. So it's to some degree, but
basically,
it's great to be back. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you back. How was your weekend?
It was nice. Played volleyball in playoffs, but we lost right away. So I don't know really where I'm going with this right now. So
beach volleyball?
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was very fun.
I actually went away. I went to Bear Mountain Saturday into Sunday. And, while I was there, it was pretty cool because we ended up going up to the restaurant at the Bear Mountain Inn. And we went in there and for breakfast Sunday morning. And they had one table, right in the front, right as you walked in. They had a table with the table number, and it was 42. And then they had a Jackie Robinson jersey draped over the seat. So I was like, it's
pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. So then I, basically did my due diligence and trying to find out why. And they actually said that when he visited the Bear Mountain Inn at the time, he was not allowed in there. And he was turned away. So now he has his table reserved forever. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was a cool story, and just the fact that I walked in and I saw a Jackie Robinson jersey, I was like, whatever, and it was a cool story behind it.
Your sports headlines from the past week in sports.
So we are going to discuss the hammer the NFL dropped down on Ezekiel Elliott, the trades with the Bills that they've made. We'll discuss more of the Kyrie Irving trade demand and why we think he actually is going to go, or why he's actually going through with this. The NBA released next season's schedule. We'll go over that a bit. How about Giancarlo Stanton? And all I can say is, wow. Is he bringing the excitement back to baseball? Do the Yankees have a closer issue? It was great to see Chad Bettis back on the mound after beating cancer. And we'll get into someone we think is getting blackballed, and it isn't Colin Kaepernick. And, of course, it's that time of the year. We'll get into some fantasy football talk. So, let's get into some stuff. Ezekiel Elliott, that was the big news over this past week. Dropped down a 6-game suspension, and he put in his appeal yesterday. The appeal will be heard August 29th.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, if it was, once this appeal goes through, I'm hoping it could be the full season. I didn't. The NFL has had this problem for a while. We discussed this, before the show and stuff. Their suspensions continue to be just. You're not seeing any sort of rhythm. I guess is the best word to put. There's really no compound.
There's no consistency.
Exactly. And it's a big problem for the NFL right now. Every single suspension is being criticized, and Roger Goodell's done this. And like you had said, this really hasn't much to do with Roger Goodell, but at the same time, any kind of suspension played along in the NFL is going to go right back to Roger Goodell, no matter whether he's involved or not. Especially after the whole fiasco with Tom Brady. The NFL really has a big picture problem right now. And but as far as the Ezekiel Elliott suspension, I know you might not feel the same, but I feel like it's a fair suspension. Maybe could have lowered it down. 4 games could have been the right way, but those pictures coming out of the bruises and all that didn't help his matter, anymore. And obviously, he will appeal this. My prediction would be that this gets dropped down to about 4 to 3 games, and that's the very least.
Well, I absolutely,
the very least.
I disagree a little bit because, first of all, it was so long after that this woman, tweeted out, I think she tweeted out or put it out on Instagram, the bruises that she supposedly gotten from Ezekiel Elliott. The reasoning that the NFL had, and they had the New Jersey general attorney or whatever it was on NFL Network the other day, and his reasoning for it was that the Ezekiel Elliott party could not pinpoint where these bruises came from. So basically their reasoning is saying, all right, well, he doesn't know where it came from, so it had to have been him. And I don't think that's right, because now you're basically just putting it on him just because he was with the girl, and who knows what could have happened. But meanwhile, they have more evidence that he didn't do it more than they do of him doing it. They have text messages of her trying to blackmail him, whatever it is, and there's They just released a incident report where Ezekiel Elliott was getting 50+ calls and text messages from this girl. She hacked into his phone. She started, going after all the girls that he was supposedly, they used the quotations, messing around with. It just, there's so much to this story that does not make sense on the part of, I think her name is Tiffany Thompson. So I don't see how this can stick. I really don't see it. And if whatever, I think if the NFL drops it down to 1 or 2 games, you won't see Ezekiel Elliott fight this more than what is going to happen, basically.
Well, this is a much different scenario than the situation with Ray Rice. Obviously, you're right. This has been a big break in the since when the incident occurred to when these pictures are coming out, and there's not really just a clear-cut relation to the crime. With Ray Rice situation, everyone,
video.
There was video evidence. Everyone knows when, where. They know all the details, and then obviously the video coming out was just a slam dunk on it. But like you said, with the pictures coming out, you don't know. You really don't know if it was Ezekiel Elliott or not. And, if the NFL has no proof of that, it'd be very hard to still remain at 3 or 4 games. So I understand where you're going with that. But, this is a big hit for the Dallas Cowboys, especially to start the season. You're looking at a running back that excelled last year behind 5 offensive linemen that were arguably all probably in the top 10 of offensive linemen for the entire league. So, when Dallas losing 2 of them right now, and now losing Ezekiel Elliott, does it make Dallas's offense, more at a human level? Because the way their offense worked last year was very, very well. I mean, they got to do whatever they wanted on that side of the ball. Everyone says the rookie quarterback didn't look like a rookie quarterback, but this goes back to what I've told you from the very get-go, Jerry. I mean, the best quarterbacks in the world can look unbelievable with a good offensive line, and even the best quarterbacks in the world can look not unbelievable with the worst offensive line. I've seen it happen. I've seen some of the worst quarterbacks in football excel with a good offensive line. You should be aware of this. It's Mark Sanchez. Yeah. Obviously the Jets had a very good offensive line when they went to those AFC championships. They ran the ball really well. And I continue to go by this, that if you run the ball really well in the NFL, you're going to be successful. And
not to mention, he had a really good defense as well. That
absolutely.
Jets defense was
definitely. I don't even, but I really don't want to go too far off. I want to let you know that basically, when it comes down to it, the Cowboys are missing, out of those 6 main positions, the 5 offensive linemen and the running back. You're missing half of that right now going into the start of the season. So it's going to be a challenge for the Dallas Cowboys and that rookie quarterback. They got to make sure that offense can still find ways to put points on the board and, find ways to win games.
Yeah, and when it comes to this Ezekiel Elliott thing, and, I feel like, we were talking about Ray Rice, and I feel like the NFL right now is they would rather overshoot it and be wrong that way than undershoot it and be wrong the way that they were with Ray Rice.
Absolutely. What was it, a 1 to 2 game suspension?
It was a 2-game suspension with Ray Rice. Now, the one thing that I don't understand, now that was 2-3 years ago with Ray Rice?
3, I think.
Why? Now Josh Brown, the kicker for the Giants, this just recently happened last year. How does he get a 1-game suspension when he admittedly said he has beaten his wife? His wife came out and said that he's beaten her 20-plus times. I don't understand how you can drop the hammer on Ezekiel Elliott, but then let Josh Brown, who actually beat her at an NFL event, at the Pro Bowl. This is what we were saying about the inconsistency with the NFL. There is no, and why did it take over a year to come down with this suspension? He played a full year. This happened before he even was in the NFL. So this is where all of this doesn't make sense. This is how I feel that Ezekiel Elliott and the NFLPA has a strong case against the NFL in this.
Absolutely. And again, it goes back to the NFL, and they look really bad with these kind of situations right now. And obviously, with all the pressure the NFL's been on the past couple of years, this isn't helping matters much.
No.
It is amusing, but this is a very, very sensitive standpoint. I mean, this is a big difference in the Tom Brady suspension. Tom Brady's suspension was based off a football-related event. Yeah. All right, this is not football-related. The proof isn't within the NFL.
Yeah.
The proof is on the outskirts. And for the NFL, like you said, with Ezekiel Elliott, you're saying there's more proof that he didn't do it as opposed to the point that he did do it.
Yeah.
But with Josh Brown, I know what you're saying. He easily admitted to doing this, and all the things he said. There was no proof that the NFL could come across to really put the hammer down on somebody like Josh Brown. But at the same time, if they don't have the appropriate proof against Ezekiel Elliott, then that suspension is.
That's what I'm saying. They were saying that they have more proof that he did a few more instances with it, but it just overall it just doesn't make sense to me, at least. But we're gonna move on to some other football news. Marshawn Lynch and Michael Bennett, they basically pulled a Colin Kaepernick and kneeled or sat down during the national anthem.
I mean, this is a topic that you don't want to hear me in.
But
I think the best thing I could take from any of these players doing what they're doing is what James Harrison said, and I think it's the best thing I'll hear regarding this situation.
Yeah,
and it's James Harrison said, "If you're my teammate, you better be standing for the national anthem unless you're in a wheelchair."
Exactly.
And, again, my perspective is this, and I don't really want to go into this really too much. But again,
I don't like getting into this stuff either.
It's a very sensitive subject, but at the same time, this is your country.
Yeah.
This is everyone's country. And the opportunities that we're given, privileged or not privileged, we're all still given that opportunity.
Absolutely.
As well as every player in the NFL, in the, NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
They're all given the same exact opportunity in this country. And, again, that might not be what they're trying to, subject or object to.
Yeah.
But the rest of the media, the fans around the world, that's what they're seeing this as.
Yeah.
Including myself. That's what it's seen as.
That's what I'm seeing it as.
Obviously,
as well.
Again, Marshawn Lynch and Michael Bennett and Colin Kaepernick could have other reasons for why they're doing it. But the main thing that the media is going to take from it will be exactly what I just told you.
Yeah.
Is that you're basically objecting to this country.
Exactly. And the problem that I have with this, listen, you want to protest any other way you want. You want to protest, I just feel like you can't do that during the national anthem. Listen, you want to protest any other way you want, go right ahead. And I just don't like this whole protesting thing. And when it comes down to Colin Kaepernick starting this, I think he went by it the wrong way. This is not the right way to go about using this platform to protest against something or basically oppose something or whatever. Now the difference everybody's saying Colin Kaepernick is being blackballed. I don't believe he's being blackballed per se, but this is a big thing. Like owners and teams don't want to deal with a camera being on their sideline, not looking at the team, not looking at the flag, not looking at any of that, not looking at the fans, but looking at Colin Kaepernick because he's kneeling down. The fact that you hear more about these guys kneeling than the actual game is ridiculous. And
it makes them, it makes them as well as the rest of the country. And again, this can all go back to the media. The media.
Oh, absolutely. And I think
this.
the media is mostly, at fault for this.
Absolutely. I mean, even Colin Kaepernick himself has said no one is really even seeing the big picture. They're just seeing, again, like I said to you just before, the media is going to, basically give you that insight that Colin Kaepernick is doing this out of some sort of objection to the flag or to the song.
The military.
Exactly. And that's not how he wanted it to be portrayed. No. Obviously, his portrayal,
But that's why I said I think he did the wrong thing. I think this is just the wrong way of going about it.
And that's what a lot of people feel like. But that could, again, the media will energize that even more. And like you said, it wasn't the right way to go about it. What's the right way to go about it?
Who knows?
Exactly. And, it's just a sensitive subject. And like you said, the NFL doesn't want this sort of distraction. NFL owners don't want a distraction. Ray Rice beat his wife and was caught on camera with it. He didn't play another down in the NFL because guess what happens when you sign a man like that? You get protesters. You just get negative media coverage.
But when you really look at it, all right, Marshawn Lynch is on a team. Michael Bennett's on a team. Greg Hardy got a chance. What is the difference between these guys and Colin Kaepernick?
I mean,
they're good. That's the biggest thing. Some of these teams will go, basically take these guys as a risk just because it's going to help out their team. Colin Kaepernick's not going to help your team. So I can't stand when people say that he's being blackballed. Nobody wants to deal with a backup that has more, cameras in his face than the starting quarterback. That's the problem with Colin Kaepernick. That's why he does not have a job. He's not that good of a quarterback, and you can hear it in the intro. That's the quarterback I'm talking about. He's not that good of a quarterback. So of course he's not going to get a job. Nobody wants their backup to have more of a name than their starting quarterback. It's the same thing with Tim Tebow. It's the same thing with Johnny Manziel.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't agree more. I mean, you're looking at a backup quarterback getting more coverage, and the media will do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, for Colin Kaepernick, for people to be saying blackballed, there's many different reasons for why he's not wearing a uniform right now.
Absolutely.
And, to put it on one incident, or a couple of incidents, it did happen multiple times, but on one main, factor is just ludicrous. And, like he said, that, you don't want to be a distraction if you're not even the face of the franchise. And that's the problem. I mean, you're looking at Michael Bennett, starter. You're looking at Marshawn Lynch, starter. It's a big difference. And Marshawn Lynch has been doing this for a very, very, very long time and has never actually publicly came out and said for why he's doing it.
Yeah.
It was the same thing in baseball, too. What was that guy's name? He played for the Toronto Blue Jays for years and then went and came to the New York Mets. Who am I thinking of?
Was it Delgado?
Was it Delgado?
It might have been.
I'm not 100%, but again, it was the same situation. Never came out of the dugout. Never stood for the American flag. I mean, stood for the American flag for the national anthem in the 7th inning. It was, actually, in the beginning of the game, right? And then
I believe so. Yeah,
they started doing it in the. Well, any way you put it, it was the same thing with him, and he never actually publicly came out and explained to people why he did what he did.
Yeah.
But cameras weren't on him at all times.
Yeah.
And that's the difference here. So it's just, again, a very, 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 iffy situation. And it's another situation the NFL has to deal with. And, again, it's this negative publicity that the NFL continues to get. And is going to drastically bring this league down.
Absolutely. And you know what? All these writers and all these fans want to talk about Colin Kaepernick being blackballed. And, over the last, 2 weeks, we had the Hall of Fame. We had the Hall of Fame game. We had the Hall of Fame inductions. And how about we talk about one player that is getting blackballed and blackballed by the writers? All the writers want to say Colin Kaepernick's getting blackballed. How about Terrell Owens being blackballed from the Hall of Fame? He should have made it as a first ballot wide receiver, first ballot Hall of Famer. Absolutely. Do you believe so?
Absolutely. Great.
So, to me, he's being blackballed by the writers because of the type of player or the type of person that he was. The Hall of Fame is not about what kind of person you are. And I can't stand that these writers, for Major League Baseball, for NFL, for things like this, the writers are saying, oh, just because I don't really like him and he didn't really treat me well while he played, I'm not going to vote for him. Terrell Owens, it doesn't matter how bad of a teammate he was or whatever you want to say. This guy has put up numbers. This guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And now it's going to be harder for him to even get in next year because you have Randy Moss up for induction. And I mean, it just never happens. I think it happened maybe once or twice where 2 wide receivers were put into the Hall of Fame in the same year. So now you're going to say you're going to give them another year? It's not fair. To me, it's not fair that Terrell Owens is not in the Hall of Fame. It just, and I meant to bring this up last week, but we just never got into it. And I wanted to really talk about this. I tweeted it out like 2 weeks ago. Terrell Owens is being blackballed by the writers from the Hall of Fame, basically. And I don't think it's right. This guy has to be in the Hall of Fame.
No, you basically said it all. I mean, there's not much more I can add. I mean, Terrell Owens is a great player. And the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame already is
sickening.
Yes.
So, you're looking at a guy that's second, third in almost every wide receiver category when it comes to stats. So I don't understand how you can sit there and say Terrell Owens is not a Hall of Famer. Or at least a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now he can't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. And now we're going into another wide receiver that was traded this past week. The Bills traded Sammy Watkins to the Rams. Jared Goff finally has a weapon.
Yeah, the biggest story is how... give me a call when Sammy Watkins is hurt for the LA Rams. I mean, the guy's been injury prone. He's a good talent. There's no debating it. But again, the guy's never had a very stellar quarterback to perform against, or form with. I'm sorry, not against. And he goes to LA with a rookie quarterback, and
that some may say is okay.
Yeah, which is very alarming too. I mean, I'd be alarmed as a Ram fan right now. But
a first overall pick.
Exactly. But is this a chance for a fresh start for Sammy Watkins? Absolutely. Is it a great trade for Sammy Watkins? Yes. Is it a great trade for the Rams? We'll see.
We'll see, yeah.
And for the Bills, I think the Bills are at a situation right now where
they're just in rebuilding mode.
Yeah, they're in rebuild mode. I mean, this is a wide receiver they traded up for. They gave up a lot to get him.
Yeah.
And they got a cornerback in return. So, the Bills, right now,
they also made it another trade about simultaneously with the Eagles and sent their cornerback over to Philadelphia.
Again, the coaching staff in the Bills might know something, or a coach or two might know a thing or two about this cornerback coming from the Rams, and could they afford to get rid of their, one of their top cornerbacks in order to bring him in? It's just a move that, the Bills right now are just trying to make themselves a better team. And, if it was getting rid of Sammy Watkins to make this move, they also, draft picks were definitely into a factor in this trade as well. Then, again, I'm not here to sit there and criticize. We'll see. I'm not I'm not a predictor.
Yeah.
I basically can't sit there and tell you. Yeah, that's honestly what I was thinking of. You don't know. You got to see how it goes. Again, I feel like this is a late trade to make. Training camp was about a couple days away. Again, I guess you got a whole training camp. Get Sammy Watkins some passes from Jared Goff. See if they can find some chemistry, some timing. Of course, we know how important that is. And, again, only time will tell.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to transition over to baseball real quick before we take a break. Did the Yankees have a problem at closer? Again, Chapman came in last night and gave up a 2-run home run with a 3-run lead. He ended up closing the door anyway, but he blew one against the Red Sox. He doesn't look comfortable, and even the one that the Yankees won, and they actually brought up they put somebody up to start warming up while he was on the mound, and that's like unheard of when you're talking about a closer. I mean, us as Yankee fans, that was something we never saw. When Mariano was on the mound, we didn't have to worry. There was, all the relievers, they could have went back and took a shower because it was over. The fact that, Chapman, he doesn't have the command right now. He's been struggling. Last night against the Mets, he was struggling with his fastball. In the beginning of his at bat, basically the beginning of the inning, he was throwing maybe 97, 98, and that's unheard of with Chapman. He's always around 99, 100. But his slider was working yesterday. The other day against the Red Sox, his slider, there was no command of the slider at all, so he can only throw his fastball. He gives up a home run to Devers the other day, blows the lead. They end up losing, and it's kind of scary. But do the Yankees have a problem at closer?
I mean, it goes back to what you literally just said in the very beginning. And for every Yankee fan, they're going to sit there and worry left and right. This is not Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
There aren't any other Mariano Riveras. Yeah. So, every closer in Major League Baseball will blow a save or two. And they'll have streaks of it. Yeah. I've seen the best of best closers blow 3 or 4 in a row. So I think this is just a time for Chapman. Obviously it's just a down time right now. And obviously you just got to get that confidence back up. And I don't think taking him out of the closer role is going to help matters much. I think, that actually makes sense. And that's probably exactly what Joe Girardi will do, is take him out of the closer role. And because, you're talking to a guy here that is not a fan of Joe Girardi.
I'm not a fan
of any of the decisions he makes. So it would be logical to see him take him out of the closer role.
He said that he's his closer, but I wouldn't put it past him.
I really wouldn't either. And obviously for the New York Yankees, their bullpen is, you can't get more solid than what they have right now. I don't think there's a time for worry. I think it's just Yankee fans being Yankee fans, and I think the New York Yankees find themselves in a very good situation. I think this is a team that wasn't expected to make the postseason at all.
No.
And is holding on to that number 1 wild card right now and inching closer to the Red Sox day by day. So, the Yankees have nothing to really worry about right now. Yeah, it was a big game against the Boston Red Sox. Yeah, you have to try to win that, and it was a big series. I'm sorry. And, obviously,
it could have been a lot worse, though.
Exactly. And for the Yankees right now, I think they're in a good state. And I don't think there should be a change in the closer. I don't think there's a problem there at all. I think you're looking at one of the better, back of the rotation, and back of the bullpen. And that's been a big reason for the Yankees' success all year.
Absolutely.
Because I'll tell you, guys like Tanaka have not been lights out.
No.
Severino's been a very, very bright spot.
Not to mention Tanaka's on the DL, Sabatia's on the DL now. It's just...
So it's been those back guys in that rotation that have gotten big wins for the New York Yankees. Have they gotten the hitting help? Of course. And the Yankees were struggling hitting the ball for a while.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think they're in a good state right now. I think it's just Yankee fans, again, being very nervous, and I think they'll be able to move on from this.
Yeah. Hey, Kev, doesn't it get annoying when you're watching sports? Let's say you want to send a text to your friend or tweet something about the game or check your fantasy team, or, hey, how about you want to go to the game and even set up a tailgate party, and you have to go to all these different apps or websites, etc., to do all of that? What if you can just go to one place for all of this?
Sounds amazing.
Well, I'm here to tell you there is a place like that. Yelphi Sports app. You can get detailed real-time scores, stats, news, rumors, fantasy news, team and player comparisons, built-in social network feature which is integrated with Twitter and Facebook, create private one-to-one or group chat with your friends, buy and sell tickets, host a tailgate party, or even a pickup game. One sports app for all your sports information. Make sure you go download Yelphi Sports app in the iTunes App Store. Yelphi, the only sports app that you need.
Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Hey, this is Jerry Napoleonello, host of Running Up the Score. We are live once every week at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we hit on all the top headlines in the world of sports. You can also find us on Stitcher, iTunes, and those of you that like the visual aspect, check us out on YouTube. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on sports radio.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stages, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach. A fully integrated one-stop shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at Cameo at cyberstationusa.com.
Hey, this is Tom Gallipani, co-host of Running Up the Score. Remember to catch us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RUTS Sports. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, where you will get the full Running Up the Score experience. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on sports radio.
Now back to Running Up the Score.
Now, here's Jerry and Kevin.
All right, Jerry, it's that time of year. Everyone is getting ready for their fantasy leagues. We are here to discuss the top 5 players. We feel great picks at every position, but first call in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. You can also follow us and tweet us at RUTS Sports, as well as follow us on Instagram at the same handle at RUTS Sports. Check out our website at rutsports.weebly.com, and let's get right into some fantasy talk.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It feels like it was just yesterday that we saw the Super Bowl, and now it's that time of the year again.
Of course, fantasy football live and well, folks. If you haven't drafted your team already, which I hope you haven't, I've seen a couple of friends of mine that actually have done it already, and all the power to you. But I think it's the weekend of the 26th. And 27, that's the prime time weekend to have your fantasy draft.
For the fourth preseason game. That's always, you always have to look at that.
Who doesn't want to have a fantasy draft and then go watch the McGregor and Mayweather fight right after? I mean, come on, that's if Saturdays are for the boys, and that's the Saturday for the boys. You know what I mean?
See, like my thing is, it's my number one rule, and I've told people over and over again, do not have your fantasy draft until the last week of preseason games. It doesn't make sense to have that. Now, what if you spend, a first-round pick on, a top running back in the league, Le'Veon Bell, or whatever you want to do? What if he gets hurt and he's out for the season? Then you just ruined your whole draft. That was your first pick. So if you already drafted your team, I feel bad for you. Now we're going to get into some before we get into the top 5 players by position for us, we're going to get into basically what I basically want to bring up. Running Up the Score, we'll be doing a fantasy league. And I'm excited about this. It's going to be free for all our listeners. It's going to be free. If you would like to donate to us, that would be great. we can always use money, but we're not going to make you guys pay. There will be between $200 to $250 payout for the winner, and it'll be towards StubHub. So you'll get a $250 StubHub gift certificate or whatever it is. So I hope that everybody is or wants to do it. I will put up all the information once I set it up. I'll put up all the information on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything, and I'll bring it up on the show for the next 3 weeks, and we'll probably have the fantasy draft that Saturday or Sunday. But now we're going to get into some fantasy, players by position, which is kind of, for us, it's kind of rough because, we're doing a fantasy league and now we're telling people basically what they should do in fantasy.
To win a fantasy league.
So, we're going to join it. Obviously, Tom will be in it, and we'll get a bunch of other people in it, and hopefully, we can have a full league. That would be fun.
No, absolutely. We should definitely get one. When it comes to fantasy football, I'm going to go right into it, and we go into the first round. And we'll get into top 5 players by position in due time. But we're going to go with a strategy right now. And to start, you're in the first round of your league. You're picking 1 through 12. We'll go with a standard 12-man league. And, my main belief has always been, and will always be, and I know that there are 5, 6 wide receivers capable of going in the first round this year. But I am a big believer in slamming down that number 1 running back.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell going 1-2 in almost every league. You're looking at David Johnson that was going 8th, 7th last year.
Yeah.
Okay, you have other running backs that are out of the first round. Guys like even DeMarco Murray I've seen fall out of the first round. I've seen Todd Gurley fall out of the first round.
I like DeMarco Murray in that, in the first round at least, if you're going to go with a running back.
Now you get a lot of people talking about Derrick Henry and, how many touchdowns that he vultured last year. And DeMarco Murray was still a great running back in between the 20s, but the Tennessee Titans have a very good offensive line. That's
why I was going to say that, because they have, if not the best line in the league, they have at least the second best line in the league.
No, yeah, to who?
What?
To who?
To the Cowboys.
Yeah, I know. I know you were going with that.
I'm just,
So I just wanted to throw it out there. But even
you
for
don't want me to get started on the Jets, though.
No,
I went on like a little rant.
We're talking about fantasy. We are not talking about anything to do with these guys right here. Okay, nothing to do with them. In the first round, I'm really a big believer of trying to get to your number 1 running back. I feel like this season, above all, is a year where, a lot of running backs by week 5, week 6 will be solidified as, maybe running back number 2s and, guys that are going to get a lot of work in. But there are just too many situations in the NFL that are just too iffy.
Yeah.
I can name 4 teams basically off the top of my head if I wanted to right now. You go with Carolina. His running back situation is a mess. The Saints running back situation is a mess. The New York Giants running back situation is a mess.
What running back?
Well, Paul Perkins and Shane Vereen, and the situation there is just on these teams, and it doesn't stop there.
No.
There are a lot of teams with really, really iffy running back situations, and it makes running backs a very, very difficult position to draft this year. Cincinnati being another team. I mean, I could go on for hours about teams in the NFL this year that have running back situations that are just a big mess. And, for those guys that want to go out and draft Aaron Rodgers and they want to draft Drew Brees and they want to draft the Tom Bradys and they want to have the best quarterback, get all those points. You're looking at most leagues now being 4 points a touchdown for quarterbacks. And like you said, we wanted to go into the top 5 of each position. I got a quarterback that could make it into the top 5 and is going way past these top 3 players you're talking about.
Yeah.
Guys like Andrew Luck, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Big Ben, Kirk Cousins. And you got Cam Newton. And that's my pick at quarterback. In almost all my leagues, that is my target.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking at a guy that will vulture goal line carries from who's that? Yeah, who's that guy that they got? That young kid, Christian McCaffrey. Jonathan Stewart. Cam Newton on the 1 yard line is the guy. Well, if you're playing in a league, especially with 4 points touchdowns, rushing is still 6 points for those quarterbacks. And Cam Newton is a very, very good goal line quarterback. Yeah. And he'll get it over and in. And this is a guy that has prevented big-time injuries. He's a healthy guy.
He's got to have a bounce-back year from last year.
Just where he's getting drafted in leagues is scary.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to make teams really, really good. Again, the quarterback situation is not a first-round situation. We're still in the first-round talk right now, and a quarterback is not an option in the first round. A wide receiver is an option, of course. You have a lot of stellar wide receivers. This is a passing league. If you want to slam dunk one of those top wide receivers, go right ahead. But then you're looking at a second running back that, maybe Todd Gurley, maybe DeMarco Murray. There's no Devontae. Just say goodbye to Devontae Freeman. Say goodbye to, LaShawn McCoy. Say goodbye to, who else, who else is ranking out that top 5 that they have right now in the first round?
When you're really looking at running backs, when you look at it, there's not many that it's just a one back, and that's basically what you're trying to get at. There's not many one back teams, and it's all two.
And one of them just got
3
suspended for 6 games.
Yeah, exactly. And where do you take Ezekiel Elliott? Where do you take that? Do you take him in the first round? Do you take him in the second round? Someone's going to take him, obviously. But, right now it's...
Like one of the main bell cow, Lamar Miller.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that was going in the first round of leagues last year. This is another guy you'll be settling with if you get one of these top wide receivers. So the gamble's there. You want to gamble on Lamar Miller. I absolutely can understand your standpoint. Everyone can have a bad year. I've seen the best of players have bad years. I've seen A.J. Green have the worst sophomore slump ever. So do I expect Todd Gurley to be a top 5 running back? Absolutely. I'm a big fan of him. If I'm grabbing a wide receiver in the first round, Todd Gurley is my number 1 target in the second. They don't even have
him in the top 10 here.
I know. And guess where he was going in drafts last year?
Yeah.
Well, not 2 years. Well, last year.
Yeah.
He was going 3.
Yeah.
3 behind Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell was
I
suspended.
love Todd Gurley. I was going to take Todd Gurley last year, but I just, at the time, the guy took him right before me. So I think I had the 6th pick, I want to say, last year. And
Gurley went 5, huh? I guess a lot of wide receivers were going really early last year. There wasn't really the big-time running back. And people considered to not believe, but, you get a running back. If you're in a PPR league and you get a running back can just do it all, can run with the ball, has a quarterback that's willing to throw them the ball. This is what I say about guys.
I think that's what people are expecting from Christian McCaffrey.
No,
he's going to be that receiving back.
I'm one of the few that's not a believer. In the third round, I can name about 4 running backs off the top of my head that I would rather pick before him. After him, and way after.
Yeah,
I would take a Danny Woodhead.
Yeah,
on Baltimore. I've seen Joe Flacco throw it to his running back so many times in his career. Ray Rice made a name for himself because of what Joe Flacco did with him. And to have Danny Woodhead on that kind of style of team, the injury risk is there, but you're also drafting this guy in the 9th and 10th round. You're not drafting him in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but what I view, I view them as a running back number 2.
Yeah.
This isn't a running back number 1 by any means. And I'll be honest, Lamar Miller being 10th on this ranking is showing you that there are not a lot of good running back number 1s.
No.
Is Jordan Howard part of it? Absolutely. LaShawn McCoy? Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would even put Jordan Howard up there either, because you got to think, Chicago, they're such a bad team, and they're going to be down very early.
Yeah, but who are they going to throw it to? Who are they going to throw it to?
But why? There's no way that you can run the ball when you're down 15.
Mike Glennon, and then most likely
Mitchell Trubisky is definitely coming in.
Yeah, rookie quarterback, and your handcuff is always your best friend as a rookie quarterback.
Absolutely.
So Jordan Howard, I'm a big fan of. Personally, in my ranking right now in the top 5 running backs, I'm going to go with David Johnson at number 1. I'm going to go with Le'Veon Bell at number 2. Number 3, I'm going to skip a couple of spots here, folks, and I'm going Devontae Freeman at 3. At 4, I actually have Todd Gurley. And believe it or not, at 5, I have Dalvin Cook on Minnesota. And these are guys that
Dalvin Cook a lot.
These are not guys that are going in the first round right now. So if you want to go out and pick one of these top wide receivers, I'm personally just a fan of getting the running backs that you want. And for me, running backs that I'm going to want are the Dalvin Cooks and the Todd Gurleys. If I don't get David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, or Devontae Freeman. And Devontae Freeman is actually not going too early himself. He's going, I think, average rank at 9th.
Yeah.
And I think I have the 5th pick in the draft. And it's a 14-man league. I'm looking to go Devontae Freeman with the 5th pick in the draft. You know, this is how important I think running back is this year. I just think it's a very thin position. I think there are a lot more wide receivers out there. You know, you can't get the big-time stud, numbers of a wide receiver, but, in this new league, you got a lot of rookie wide receivers coming in. You got a lot of good throwing situations out there. Atlanta's got a good throwing situation. I mean, you're looking at guys like even on the Saints, someone like Willie Snead. I won't get, Julio Jones or Odell Beckham Jr. or, believe it, some people are picking Brandon Marshall in the second round, which is mind-boggling to me as well.
Yeah.
You basically, there are a lot of wide receivers that you can grab later on in the draft. The Kelvin Benjamin. Okay, Kelvin Benjamin had a really, really bad year. Let's all agree on this.
Yeah.
A very bad year. So did A.J. Green. It's called a sophomore slump. I'm a big believer of it.
Yeah.
I've been a big believer in it for a long time. I've seen A.J. Green have one of the best rookie seasons ever. I've seen Kelvin Benjamin have one of the best rookie seasons ever. And then I've seen two players completely flop in their next year after.
Yeah. Injuries
could be a big problem and just not performing. Cam Newton didn't perform the same as he did 2 years ago. And, is Carolina going to need that kind of performance? Absolutely, from those two guys. Listen, everyone is human. Everyone has down years, unless you're Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning. Those guys didn't have down years, but I've seen guys bounce back.
Well, Peyton Manning's down year. He still won the Super Bowl.
Exactly. So, when it comes to fantasy, though, and fantasy purposes.
How do you feel about Jay Ajayi?
I'm a fan, but I just think the whole situation in Miami right now where you're looking at a quarterback situation that's very, very iffy. I didn't see Jay Cutler go to his running back as much last year. I mean, Jordan Howard did get his numbers. So, I mean, that could raise up a little bit of a, option on Jay Ajayi. It's just Jay Cutler is just got into camp about a week ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ifs going on with that. So, for Ajayi, I think he comes into my top 10, but I just think the quarterback situation, it's just too much of an unpredictable situation to draft him in the first round.
Yeah.
I'd rather go one of the big wide receivers in that situation.
Absolutely.
Again, like you just heard my top, I feel very thin on running back. If I can't pick up Devontae Freeman in the first round or one of those two bell cows in the beginning, I'm probably going to go wide receiver, and I'm going to hope that I can grab like a Todd Gurley in the second round.
Yeah.
And then hopefully a Dalvin Cook in like the third or fourth round. And even though the hype is getting higher on Dalvin Cook and a lot of people weren't sure with Latavius Murray, and I've known for the longest time Latavius Murray wasn't playing it down.
Yeah.
You could thank Roto World and all these other websites and Matthew Berry and the 28-hour ESPN coverage of fantasy football. No, I didn't watch a single inch of it, but I guarantee you there are people. There's not much fantasy talk in it. They do like a fantasy draft at the end, but there's not much fantasy talk. They're just basically doing, a Saturday Night Live on the ESPN set. Like, it's all of them dressing up, having a good time, this and that. I mean, I was just watching a skit of Adam Schefter dressed up as a cop pulling over Mike Golick Jr. and Sarah Spain. I don't know who any of those people are. Going back to what we were saying, you go into the first round and you really want to grab a running back. There are a bunch of guys you could potentially go after. LaShawn McCoy, if you want to go with the injury risk. DeMarco Murray, if you want to go with it. Jay Ajayi is a slam dunk. I feel like you can get a solid numbers out of him this year.
Well, why don't we just
Jordan
get right
Howard.
Into our top 5 at each position?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to give people a general idea of what kind of mindset to go with. I mean, you really need to make sure with the running back position.
So I guess we'll start with the quarterback position, obviously. Who is your number one quarterback?
Come on, the number one quarterback is the same number one it's always been. I mean, it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I think with the weapons he has this year, it just turns into an animal. I think Aaron Rodgers is like a 1-1A kind of player.
Yeah.
You got to go with Drew Brees, and honestly, between you and me, the only reason Drew Brees hits it at number 3 for me, and I would even give him the 2 because you're putting, Rodgers and Brady at 1 and 1A. It's just because of the playoff matchups. I mean, I saw it. Atlanta's got a very good defense, and he does face Atlanta twice, but this guy's got 3 games in a dome come playoff weeks. I mean, if you saw the look on my face, I mean, you'll eventually see it on YouTube, but it's like 3 dome games for Drew Brees during the playoffs. I mean, the question is, can he get you there? But once he gets you there, You can't have more. I wouldn't even want to. I would consider him the number one fantasy quarterback going into the playoffs for all 3 weeks. You can't get better matchups than that. Number 4 for me is the man that actually helped me out a lot last year, and I don't see him slowing down at all. Matt Ryan, very good, very durable, played very well last year.
I don't like Matt Ryan this year.
Oh, no?
No.
And then Cam Newton draws out my top 5. I know you're probably going to put Dak Prescott in your top 5.
No, so. I'm not actually. I obviously, it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if anybody has any other 1 and 2,
again, it could be Matt Ryan, it could be Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's a little iffy right now for me. I would probably put Kirk Cousins then Cam Newton. Probably Matt Ryan at 6. It's very close, those 3.
I got Aaron Rodgers. I got Tom Brady. Andrew Luck obviously is, a top quarterback in the league. There's no denying that. But that shoulder injury, definitely, the shoulder surgery, the fact that they don't know if he's even going to play in week 1.
And the offensive line hasn't gotten any help all offseason. Again, I feel bad for this kid, man.
His situation is just not good in Indianapolis. I have to stay away from him. I like Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson will be my 5. My 4, Jameis Winston. I like Jameis Winston a lot. I think adding O.J. Howard was huge. I think.
Well, they say they're going to have him predominantly blocking. So don't be fooled about this O.J. Howard guy. I mean, listen, he's going far enough in drafts where you can draft him at a solid position. Yeah. But I'm hearing a lot about the blocking game.
Yeah, absolutely.
From O.J. Howard, and that's what made him very good. The fact that he can catch a ball, but he can block really, really well.
I just, he added Deshaun Jackson. You have one of the top wide receivers in the league in Mike Evans.
See, the problem is let's say Deshaun Jackson goes down.
Yeah.
And Mike Evans is out there, double coverage every day. O.J. Howard's sitting there blocking because they're having a hard time with their running game because the first 4 weeks they don't even have a capable running back, I don't think. Jaquise Rodgers could do it. It scares me a little bit with him. But I feel like he needs another year proving, but he could prove me wrong. I mean, Jameis Winston's definitely on my radar too. He's definitely in my top 10. He's definitely ahead of Dak Prescott. I mean, come on, guys. Big Ben, obviously.
Big Ben is my 3.
Yeah, I mean, Big Ben is someone I'm taking out of my top 10 only just because of the injuries nonstop for him. Andrew Luck, the same reason. These guys are just getting hurt. And
I just like the fact
they're just useless picks.
I just like the fact that he's getting Le'Veon Bell for the full season. Hopefully, you're getting back Martavis Bryant.
That's another wide receiver. That's another wide receiver I like later on in the draft too. You want to go Brandon Marshall in the 2nd round, but Martavis Bryant doesn't go until like the 12th.
Yeah.
So I mean, are you not seeing the similarities with these two players?
Exactly.
So I'm one of those.
Listen,
I'm a believer.
Brandon Marshall is still a top wide receiver in the league, but that offensive line for the Giants has not gotten better.
We're talking he's going, like, some people are drafting him before guys along the lines of Allen Robinson.
But that's what I'm saying.
DeAndre Hopkins. Listen, bad years happen. Don't get me wrong. They do happen. But I'm sorry, I'm not going over those guys with it.
Yeah, I don't like.
Let's go into our wide receiver top 5.
Well, you want to go into wide receiver or running back?
We'll go to wide receiver, and then we'll go to running back. We'll transition. That's
this video really on this.
What happened?
This video on this website is killing me.
No, it's amazing. I like the song actually. It's pretty nice.
All right, so wide receiver.
Wide receiver going top 5, and I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I feel like the top 5 that you're going to see on every one of your list. Hopefully you can grab one of these guys, but you're most likely going to have to use a late first rounder or an early second if you're lucky. And, that's if a lot of people take my advice and go after a running back very heavily. Antonio Brown, number 1, hands down, the best wide receiver in football.
I think you go with him 1. Like, number 1
you could
overall.
No, David Johnson. No, let's back that up. Let's back that up for a second.
So you have David Johnson over Antonio Brown. So if you had the number 1 pick, you're taking David Johnson over Antonio Brown.
Yes. And if I had the number 2 pick, I would take whoever my first pick didn't take, Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson. I feel like those two are hands down the 1-2. It's just such an important position, very thin position. You have to go with it.
I can't trust Le'Veon Bell, though.
Let me tell you, if I got the number 3 or number 4 pick and somebody wants to go Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr., Julio Jones, Mike Evans even I've seen go up pretty high. And they want to leave someone like Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson on the board. I mean, just do me a favor, just write up that contract for me so I could sign that almost immediately because I would take that all day. But when it comes to wide receiver, I think number 1, Antonio Brown, without a doubt. I think number 2 is going to have to go to Julio Jones. Number 3, I'm going to give to Mike Evans. And then number 4, I'm putting Odell Beckham Jr. And then obviously Jordy Nelson in number 5. I'm only dropping Odell Beckham because I'm very, very scared of the Giants' offensive line, their lack of a running game, the adding of, Brandon Marshall. Everyone wants to talk about this tight end the New York Giants got about how he could block. I don't know where they're reading this. He is a main Dustin Keller type player. He can't block at all, and he's only a pure wide receiver. And, Eli Manning has always been a fan of his tight ends. I mean, I've seen tight ends that I don't even know their names put up numbers with Eli Manning. So there's a lot of options there for Eli Manning this year. I think Odell Beckham Jr., again, very good pick. Don't take my word as being a way of them not winning, but, for purposes of just rankings, and if I have the number 5 pick in a draft, and I have an option of like these 5 players, that's the order I'm going to go in.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with the Odell pick. And not even just all of that, but just the distraction. Now he wants to be
like you said, the suspension risk. I mean, this kid, listen, he does what he wants, and he can do what he wants because he's that good. He's very talented. I'm not taking a thing away from how talented he is.
Absolutely not.
But ask anybody who had Terrell Owens about 5-6 years ago, actually a little longer than that, when they had that ridiculous season, and then all of a sudden the suspensions came, and it killed a lot of people's fantasy season. And you couldn't deny the talent that Terrell Owens has, just like you cannot deny the talent Odell Beckham Jr. is. But if I'm using a number 1 pick, what was that? A number 1 pick, or an early pick in just that, I'm taking the safer bets. The guys that you don't hear talking, the guys that are just performing.
Absolutely, I'm 110% with you on that. I like Amari Cooper because of Derek Carr. And adding Marshawn Lynch, I think, helps Amari Cooper as well. Antonio Brown's definitely number 1. I like the thing with Julio Jones is the injury risk. The last couple of years he's had problems with his ankles, and as a wide receiver, your ankles are one of your main parts of your body. Of
course, it's your cutting, it's your route running.
So that kind of scares me a little bit. I have to put Jordy Nelson in there. Because I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a huge comeback year. I think, we even said it last week when we gave our award predictions. We said Aaron Rodgers is going to win MVP for the NFC. And I think Jordy Nelson, if he stays healthy, is a big part of that. So I put Jordy Nelson at I'm going to say 2. I put him at number 2. I'll put Mike Evans at 3. I'll put Julio Jones at 4, and I'll put Odell at 5. There's other wide receivers that I think are going to have a good year. I think Dez Bryant's going to have a good year. Now, especially now with the suspension to Ezekiel Elliott, you're going to see them rely on Dak Prescott's arm. So we're going to see if, Dez is...
Sorry, he's just looking at my face, and I'm showing him disgust. I'm not a believer of Dak Prescott yet, and it's a big reason why I'm dropping Dez Bryant down. A big reason as well is that he's facing 8 elite cornerbacks in his season this year, including a match against the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. Dez Bryant, once he gets drafted, you're going to get the numbers. Yeah. But it's just someone I'm not interested in. That's just me. All right, let's go to running back.
Running back. Once I can mute.
I've already given you my top 5 running backs.
I like.
Clearly, you don't like David Johnson, so you might as well just not even put him up there.
I like Le'Veon Bell above David Johnson, but I also said Le'Veon Bell has the injury risk, the suspension risk. So that it's overall. I think you take Jordan Howard out of this top 5 and you leave Devontae Freeman. Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson. I would even put Ezekiel Elliott.
1,000 season. That is the aim for David Johnson. And you're going to go away from it. Yeah. Okay. Can I be in your league? Can I have the 2 pick when you have 1? Because I'll take David Johnson hands down with any of last year, David Johnson was my pick from anything. I got him at 7. And I thought it was funny because people asked me, I would have taken him at 2.
Yeah.
Or 3. That's how good of a player he was last year. And I knew it was coming because, I mean, look at the end of that season. It was ridiculous. We moved to tight end. And the tight end category is an interesting one, none to say the least. I'm a big fan of a lot of guys going a little later. Like I said, with O.J. Howard, I think they're going to have him blocking a lot. I don't think people – I mean, he's a great talent, and it's a big reason why he went as early as he did. But this is something that a lot of people get fooled. I mean, you want to go with O.J. Howard, no problem. But I'll take an Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
The guy with the experience.
Yeah.
You know?
This is this position is one of the hardest positions to draft because there's not many tight ends that are going to produce every week for you. So it's a crucial position to me, at least.
Of course, it makes a difference.
You know, to have, you know, that's why people take a Rob Gronkowski in the top 10. That's why, you know, you're looking at this. I've always liked Delaney Walker. He's always going to be someone that's going to be a decent producer for you every week. But, you know, there's different guys. I mean, you know, many people like a Jason Witten. Jason Witten is a guy that's going to get you catches. It's going to get you yards. He's not going to get you touchdowns. So that's, you know.
He used to. That's why he was such a very good player last year.
He used to.
In the last couple of years.
You know, I love Travis Kelce. They have him number 1 here.
I'm going with Jordan Reed at number 1. I know the injury risk is there, and I know Gronk is the same way. I'm putting them both at 1, 2. Jordan Reed and Rob Gronkowski are 2 very, very good players. You got to have
Gronkowski up there.
I like them both.
Jimmy Graham, you don't know. You know, he's been iffy with the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not even going to give you a top 5. I'm going to give you 8 tight ends right now. You could pick any of them.
The only 8 that are probably going to produce for you. So
yeah. I mean, I personally think it's Travis Kelce, Jordan Reed, Rob Gronkowski, Greg Olsen. I'm not even putting Delaney Walker in that list. I'm putting in an Eifert. Again, like Delaney Walker is a great pick if you want, like he said, a safe pick.
Yeah.
But I'm going, you know, with the tight end.
That's the kind of pick that you take after you've taken like 2 wide receivers, a quarterback, a running back, and then you get a Delaney Walker later on.
Eifert, Martellus Bennett, and Eric Ebron. I mean, it ends at Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
I mean, O.J. Howard, Kyle Rudolph, these guys. Kyle Rudolph, I'm still not even sure who the quarterback is. Is it going to be Bradford?
Well, it's going to be Bradford to start the year, and then who knows? You know, I don't even think Teddy Bridgewater is fully healthy yet.
It's really nuts what happened to him.
He blew out his knee. Like, I mean, everything in his knee he blew out.
I don't know.
He dislocated it, everything. So, you know, for him,
and
the fact that he's practicing is great, though.
The list that I just told you didn't even have Jimmy Graham on it. You know, it didn't have Jimmy Graham. It didn't even have Kyle Rudolph. It didn't have, you know, O.J. Howard. You know, Delaney Walker. These are guys that are going in the top 10 that could be good plays. But I'm not going to go with any of those names.
Listen, when you're a tight end,
I'll take the gamble because either way, you know, you want to take Gronk, you want to get those numbers, but once you lose Gronk, God forbid, to an injury, you're right back. You're way behind every other team in your league.
When it comes to, you know, tight ends, the middle of the field that's where that's your spot, is the middle of the field. Russell Wilson doesn't like to throw over the middle of the field.
Yeah,
he's always a sideline guy.
Absolutely.
So he doesn't use Jimmy Graham to Jimmy Graham's potential. I mean, we saw Jimmy Graham with the Saints and how great he was with the Saints, and then we saw him with the Seahawks, and he had a better year last year than he did the year before, but, you know, he's still someone that I'm not taking early. I'm not taking him above any of these other tight ends on this list here. So, you know, to me, it's tough to go with Jimmy Graham, and I second your list 110%. You know, but that basically kills the show. We will try to get into some baseball stuff next week.
We'll talk a little bit more fantasy. I know we missed that on defense and
definitely.
kickers. We're definitely going to have to go more into this as the season progresses. Obviously, these rankings will change depending on injuries.
Preseason and
Exactly.
So we're going to get into some Islanders talk next week. It's big for anybody that's on Long Island.
Absolutely.
So we'll get into that. And Kev, you going to be back next week?
Absolutely.
So we might actually have all three of us. Something that we tried to get going like almost 2 months ago. We tried to get all three of us in, and it didn't happen. And now the potential to have all three of us in the same room talking sports, it's going to be exciting.
Can't wait.
So we'll be back next week. And we'll get into some more fantasy, some Kyrie Irving, some NBA, baseball, and, of course, the NFL. But that will do it for Running Up the Score. Thank you for joining us today. We will be back next week talking sports once again. I am Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
Be breezy.
Be breezy. You've been listening to Running Up the Score.
We run up the score on Sports Radio.